The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
It's double trouble, double the fun at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. See the largest antelope on Earth, the giant eland, and the ugliest creature on Earth, the African warthog. There's so much to see and do, including the Midwest's only drive. See live educational shows. Feel the excitement. Have your picture taken with a python or cockatoo. Feel the adventure. Shop the Simba Lodge gift shop with items available from around the globe. Visit the snack bar or picnic facilities. Enjoy a pony or camel ride. Or cheer your favorite porker on to victory in the famous Pork Chop Down. Bring your family to see the rare and exotic animals at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. Just take Route 2 to the Route 53 North exit and follow the sign. Only 17 miles west of Cedar Point via Route 6. Open every day, rain or shine.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know.
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar.
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything.
All right, welcome back to The Balance. First half hour in the books. Talk with Mo from the BS Sports Show and Matthew Embry, our official IndyCar contributor, but also wears a college basketball hat and helps us out with bracketology. It is Selection Sunday tomorrow, but we're going to move on into IndyCar, NASCAR coming up here in just a few minutes as well. And then in the second hour, we're going to get into some NFL free agency. And we're also going to be talking with Adam Jenovic and Ed Kratz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll talk some NFL. Well, let's get into the IndyCar talk. Matthew, you're our official IndyCar contributor. IndyCar got underway down in St. Pete. Joseph Newgarden gets a good win. Give us a recap and talk with us about what's on the horizon of the NTT IndyCar Series.
Well, I think one thing we saw is certainly the strategy calls of Roger Penske have been transferred over quite nicely to Tim Cindric. A terrific call there when the leaders' power, et cetera, got held by Marco Andretti. Joseph Newgarden stayed out, got the advantage, got on the Reds, pulled away, held on for the victory. Impressive for Newgarden, who has not been a fan of the St. Pete layout. I think previously to that, I think he finished no better than ninth at that track. So a terrific result for them. No changes right now as far as griditology at this point. I think the top 9 stay there, but I think one guy that is getting closer and closer to joining that Firestone Fast 9 for Indy has got to be Felix Rosenqvist. Led the race for a good chunk of the way. Unfortunately, a poor pit stop cost him a chance to challenge for the victory. Still finished 4th. I think he is a solid number 2 guy to Scott Dixon that Ganassi did not have a year ago. That just makes them much tougher, I think, with Dixie trying to defend his title. Now you got 2 drivers to worry about instead of just 1. I have him as the first guy outside the top 9 at this point, Rosenqvist at number 10. And then you look at some of these other names out there. Jack Harvey, I think, is off the bubble now. He was at 33. He's now solidly in the field. Colton Herta, I believe now, he is getting closer and closer now. If he is at the same level with his Andretti affiliated teams, I think that Harding-Steinberger car could be in the top half of the qualifying order when we get to the first qualifying day in May.
What are your thoughts about the rumors of Cosworth? Of course, co-owner Kevin Colva has dismissed rumors that the company is to build an Indy Car engine on behalf of a third OEM for the series of 2021 regulations. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Is there any smoke here?
That's something that IndyCar has been wanting for years. They were disappointed when Lotus was a one-year bust. And obviously Cosworth is named in the series with Jam Car and Kart for so many years. It'd be nice to see them back in the business. And certainly Cal Coven has a history, having won the Indianapolis 500 and running a team until he personally and financially couldn't do so. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with this situation. But there are certainly some names out there that have been mentioned. Porsche's been mentioned, Alfa Romeo, BMW. Granted, they're not American names, but if they are committed to the series, they certainly are welcome if they're willing to, make the same burden of effort as, say, Chevrolet and Honda are. And that certainly will help. The number of leases will drop for those two manufacturers. And that may increase their ability to hold more entries and possibly increase the entry list for, not only the full-time series, but also for the Indy 500 even more.
So what do we know about Ed Jones? Rumor has it that he had a broken leg, I believe. Where are we at with him? Broken
finger.
Oh, finger.
Right now,
sorry.
The question is right now, is he going to be able to grip the steering wheel to where he could compete in the next round of the Circuit of Americas? I think the answer should be yes to that, unless something dramatically changes in the next couple of weeks. I expect he will be back at if not 100% close to that, where he will be able to compete. But a decent performance. Unfortunately, he made the same mistake I think Scott Dixon made at that little tight turn where you misjudge it and you catch the inside wall and then catch the outside wall, and then you took a pretty significant whack from Matthias Laced. Also knocked Laced out of the race. But that was a disappointing performance for them, certainly, a team that's certainly looking for sponsorship to run the season. They have limited what the partners are. Obviously losing Fuzzy's Zeller support certainly did not help them any. But you look at the other situations right now. The other situation right now is Honda with the two engine failures, Bourdais and Hunter Ray going out. Is Honda pushing themselves too thin again? Is that going to become a story when we get to the Indianapolis 500 about reliability concerns with HPD again, as it was a few years ago?
Let's talk a little bit about the win of Joseph Newgarden. Gets the first win of the 2019 IndyCar Series. Beats out Will Power and Scott Dixon. Joseph Newgarden, man, I tell you what, I've liked him since he's been started. But now that he's with Penske, it's kind of like you go from being Robin to being Batman. What are your thoughts? Joseph Newgarden, 2019 first win down in the streets of St. Petersburg as we get ready for the roads of America.
Well, Circuit of Americas will be interesting.
Circuit of America, I'm sorry.
Certainly helps his today, cause. He certainly helps his cause even more. I don't know if he's going to be the threat, though. Obviously, I think Will Power is still the threat on paper based on the success he's had over the years. But if Newgarden or, Dixon could get a victory, it certainly puts Power's situation of winning a championship into question again. Because you can only make so many of those late charges throughout your career and make them effectively and get all the way there. And we've seen over the years where Power's been unable to do that. And if he gets into a little hole here again, be interested to see if he could dig his way out of it like he has the last couple when he won the championship, and then the times when he tried to and just couldn't quite get there.
How exciting is it that we can actually look at the schedule and say there's 1, 2, 3 more races before IndyCar comes to Indianapolis? It's the month of May. Certainly, I'll be down there all month. I know you'll probably join me as well. I tell you what, we've got the Grand Prix and we got the Indianapolis 500. We got Carb Day, we got Pole Day. All the excitement of May is building. We got a few more races beforehand, but it's almost like, can we start talking about the Indianapolis 500 in 2019? Gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
It does. The question in my mind, looking ahead, you talk about the cut line, is what about these one-off entries? How many of them are going to get in the field and how many are going to get left out? Pippa Mann's one team. Juncos right now is situation. Kyle Kaiser with limited entry. And then the second entry, if it does happen, if it's RC Anderson, et cetera, will they get in? Catherine Legge, will she be able to steal a bid now that Meyer Shank is showing more potential from Jack Harvey? Does she sneak in and possibly knock a regular out? And then the other question is Dreyer and Reinbold. Right now, the last driver I have in the field is J.R. Hildebrand, who is likely going to be with Dreyer and Reinbold. Is he in danger? Is Sage Karen going to be in danger? And will they have to change their strategy from, just being confident that they will be in the field where they don't take an over concern about qualifying? Will they have to take a closer look at that now just to make sure they get in the field?
Well, it's going to be exciting, and we'll do a little shameless plug as we do every year. Right after poll day, we have what's called our special called the Field of 33. Myself, you, and Tyson Lautenschlager from OnPitRoad.com will break down every single car in the race of 33. What we love about poll day is poll day, but more deeper than that, we saw something last year, and we like James Hinchcliffe, good friend of the show, have been following him since he's been in the Indy Lights. He was actually in the Indy Lights with Pippa Mann. Speaking of Pippa Mann, and speaking of what we saw last year, gut-wrenching bump from James Hinchcliffe, and Schmidt Motorsports could have went ahead and put James Hinchcliffe in the race. They decided to take the high road, and I think they gained a lot of respect from a lot of fans. By, hey, James didn't earn a ride. You qualify the car, you don't qualify the driver. You can put any driver that you want in there. Of course, we know that what went on with Wickens and later on with Wickens, but at the same time, who's going to be the spoiler this year? And we talk about Pippa Mann. It's great that we always like to see her in, and don't get me wrong, she's been on the show, super nice gal. You and I have talked with her in the garages before. Nothing against Pippa, but can or will Pippa be the spoiler this year? Because she may have a pretty good car, and she qualified very fast in the Fast 10 last year in qualifying. So she can and has proven that she can qualify for the Indianapolis 500, and she knows that track very well. Is she a spoiler in the Indianapolis 500 2019?
As far as a spoiler right now, I'd say based on what we saw this past weekend, I'd say if there is a spoiler out there, it's not Pippa Mann. If indeed Meyer Shank runs two cars, I think the big threat's going to be Catherine Legge. Remember, she last couple of years ago put an entry to get her last minute with Schmidt, was able to get in the field. That was able to knock Michelle Jourdain Jr. out of the field. I think Catherine Legge, certainly if Meyer Shank is at the potential that we think they are based on the performance of Harvey at St. Pete, if they do enter two cars, I think they have a very good chance to get a second car into the field, and obviously that takes a bit away from somebody. The question is, who would it be, and would it be one of the regulars? And then, for instance, log on to IndyCar.com right now, Tom. You'll see a car that looks familiar. It's the Ben Hanley Dragon Speed car. And that's another team that could potentially steal a bid from somebody that I'm not convinced can get in the field on their own merit based on what they showed at St. Pete, and considering they're still raw, it's a series. That's another team that they get their act together that could also steal a bid from somebody.
Real quickly, before we got to move on, let's talk a little bit about the legend, about A.J. Foyt. And we know that his son pretty much handles the day-to-day operations, but don't we think, in lieu of his age and just recent things that have happened with A.J. Foyt, isn't it time for A.J. Foyt to just enjoy being A.J. Foyt and kind of step away from his duties with A.J. Foyt Racing?
That's not going to happen. You know he'll be there until the day he passes away. It's a labor of love. He just will not be able to get away from it. And I think regardless of, as long as he's still on this planet, if there's a way for him to get to the scoring stand with the team for the Indy 500, he will be there.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's certainly somebody to watch, and we'll certainly not wishing that to happen anytime. But you're all right. It's a labor of love, and that's for sure. We've been joined by Matthew Embry of WSBT up in South Bend, Notre Dame country, talking some bracketology, the March of Madness, and IndyCar. Matthew is also our official IndyCar contributor. Matthew, any final words of wisdom before we got to go and start talking about some NASCAR?
that, obviously, congratulations to Dario Franchitti, Tony Stewart, both inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame America in Daytona Beach this weekend. Unfortunately, too bad what might have been for Dario Franchitti. I'd say if not for that crash in Houston, we could have had another Indy 4-time winner.